Hi everybody, it's Manucha for Moms and Crafters, and today I'm going to show you how to make a beaded bracelet with a clasp. Now, if you ask 10 jewelry makers how to do this, they're going to give you 10 different ways to do this. So I'm going to share with you my favorite way to do this, and I am using sterling silver parts. I'm going to preface this by saying that I do have an in-depth blog post full of links to the supplies that I use and loads more tips that I have a hard time putting in a video because sometimes I think of them after the recording, and in a post I can just add them. In a video it's a little more complicated. So I am using tiger tail wire, which is my favorite stringing material because it's super strong. I am dipping the end of the wire in weld bond glue. Now this isn't strictly necessary, but it does help make your crimp ends stay super well. I'm using these super thin ribbon crimps that have a loop at the end, and I am just crimping that shut. You want to do this nice and tight because this is going to go towards the stability of your final bracelet. Now, this bracelet is rock solid. I've been wearing it in the shower already for over a month. It's sterling silver, so it's not fading, and the glue is not coming out with water. Once you've attached that crimp, I do recommend letting it dry, or at least partially dry. That way you're not going to pull it off by mistake, but it really should be secure and you can bead it. And I am beading up my gemstone beads. These are 8mm round gemstones. I don't necessarily use anything special to lay it out. Of course, you can use a flocked beading board if you prefer to do it that way, but I am just using simple spacers, and so there isn't a complex arrangement, so I just bead them on. So go ahead and do that. You want to calculate how much space your clasp is going to take up, and I usually do the beading portion roughly around my wrist, including the crimp part. So you're beating it so that it fits tight around the wrist, including the crimp part, because then the clasp will add that extra roughly an inch that you're missing. You can, of course, also use a ruler to make standard bracelet sizes, or if you're making it for yourself, measure it up against a bracelet that you know fits you well. Now, the trickiest part of making a beaded bracelet like this is going to be attaching the other end of your clasp. Because when you use this type of crimp, you can't thread it on and trim after. You have to trim it before you put the crimp on. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply some glue before we trim it. That way we have it trimmed for as little time as possible because you run the risk of your whole bracelet coming apart. So I used a little piece of paper to sort of apply glue around the part of the tiger tail wire that's going to be underneath the crimp. Then, holding it carefully with one hand, yes, over the glue, I cleaned it after with pliers, I went ahead and trimmed it to size. But then I had to put the crimp on. So what I did was I transferred it to the other hand and carefully pressing down on the beads, holding it so that everything stays in place. Again, this might require a little bit of agility and practice. I placed the crimp on and I right away crimped it in place, nice and tight, and that process worked out quite well. Now, if you're somebody who solders, you're not going to run into this issue. But if you have ever worn, handmade jewelry from somebody who does not solder, you're going to recognize the issue of open jump rings. Open jump rings, well, they open, especially when you're using sterling silver, which is a soft material. It doesn't really work. However, I don't solder. So what I do is I take bail making pliers and I make myself a little split ring. This makes it much stronger. There's a slight durability issue in the sense that you might need to, sort of bend it back into shape at some point, again, because it's a soft metal. However, it does work quite well. So just go twist it around a few times and then snip the end off. And then you're going to use the split ring to attach the clasp on each end. So you need 2 split rings, put one on each end, and attach each end of our beautiful toggle clasp. And that is it. You have successfully made a beaded bracelet with a clasp. You'll definitely want to try this in a number of gemstones. This is a fabulous staple bracelet to have, whether it's in your shop or in your own jewelry box. I personally love these because, especially when you use subtly colored stones, they go with any outfit, they match with everything. You could just wear them as sort of semi permanent jewelry and just keep them on your wrist and always feel dressed up with a little bit of personality, but not too colorful. So go ahead, make a stack of these, enjoy, and happy crafting. Just a reminder that you can find the full blog post with all the links to supplies and detailed instructions at momsandcrafters.com. I dropped a link in the description of this video. Make sure to subscribe for more fun and doable crafts like this one. Hit like if you enjoyed this and comment if you have any questions or if there's something you want me to show you next.